Hey, thank you. And I want to first say thank you guys for doing this. Y'all could have easily canceled this with all the stuff that's going on, but it's great that you would take the time to put this on for these kids because it's all about promoting high school sports, and I've heard a lot of coaches say that, but just want to say thank you from the Opelika Bulldogs for putting this show on today. I'm going to start going back to March with our kids when we were put out of school for the pandemic. We started back then, it was going into our spring break, and so we kind of had a week to plan what we were going to do, thinking we were only going to be out for 2 weeks. So we gave the guys a workout that they could go home. We did Google Classroom, so all of them signed up for it, and we sent them a workout that they could do basically in their living room and get it done that way. Well, 2 weeks then turned into about 9 more weeks past that, going all the way till May. So we had to restructure our plan. We continued to work out with them. I say the coaches, you can look at most of our coaches, we didn't work out with them, but we at least sat there on Zoom with them. So Zoom was a great technology for us this past spring. So literally every position coach would get with his guys, they would turn on their cameras on their phone, and we would call out the workout for them. So the camera's on them showing us what they're doing, that way they're not cutting reps because we never wanted to cut reps. Then it went into May, and we basically did a virtual spring training. We used an app called Learn to Win that we purchased last year that allows us to send them video and drawings and all sorts of things that we can show them of an install that we would have done in the spring for offense and defense. So basically we did virtual spring training, and then we finally got to start back on June 8th. It's been a really good summer for us. It's been a lot different. Kind of goes back to the 80s and 90s of how we structured our June, basically with no football being involved. It was all just running and lifting. So we did that for 3 weeks, and then we got into July, and we finally started to get back into what we normally would be doing this time of year with some helmets on and then doing some 7-on-7 and some 11-on-11. Getting some install done with offense and defense. We've got 35 seniors this year. It's a great senior class. Most of them have been playing since they were in 7th and 8th grade, coming up with us. It's a really good group of kids. A lot of them have played a lot of football for us over the last 2 years with us going into the 3rd round and 4th round. A lot of them have been major contributors for us. On offense, we've got 10 offensive linemen that are seniors, so we'll have basically a 2 deep on our front on offense. Both of our running backs that accounted for close to 2,000 yards are back last year with J.D. Tolbert and Eric Watts. The biggest hole right now for us on offense is at quarterback, which is the biggest question everybody always has. And I can go ahead and tell you now, I don't know who the quarterback is. We may not know for a while. We've got 3 of them really fighting it out right now, and we may play all 3 of them early in the year. Without spring training to find out who can do it, we may have to wait till we get into week 2 or 3 to find that out. And then at the receiving position, we lost a lot of our yards at receiver last year, losing Omar and Marion and Jemias, but we got a young group coming in that I think is going to be really good. On defense, our front should be really good. We've got 4 seniors up front. Our linebacking crew, Kevin Lilly's here today. He's one of our senior linebackers. Our biggest hole on defense is in the secondary. We got 1 returning starter back there, but we do have a lot of guys that have played a lot of snaps on defense for us. So, we've done a pretty good job over the last 6 or 7 years of playing a lot of kids on Friday night. That way, when it comes time for them to be, we don't call them really starters. I mean, a starter is the guy that plays the first play. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be in the whole game. So we try to play a lot of kids and get them in the game and give them some experience. And that way, when it is time for them to play a major role, then they've had that experience. So we look forward to playing this year. I don't know what the schedule is right now. We were obviously one of the teams that lost a game with Callaway, with Georgia moving the season back 2 weeks. We're working right now with a few schools of possibly filling that game. We might have an open week 5. We may have an open week 0. We don't know yet. Possibility that we play 10 games, may play 9. We don't know. But the biggest thing we want to do is play. So if we played our region, we wouldn't care. We'll go on the road and play all 5 games, 6 games, however many they give us. We don't care. These kids just want to play. So I'll open it up to any questions, and then you can ask any of these guys. I've brought Chris Epperson, one of our linemen, senior offensive lineman. He's our center. And then Will Beams is a receiver that's played our inside slot receiver, and he'll work some outside this year. Ja'Kai Stevens is a senior defensive lineman. And then Kevin Lilly, I mentioned earlier, is one of our senior linebackers. So I'll take any questions, and then we can give them some questions.
Coach, of course, this was the year of realignment. In my opinion, you're in the toughest region in all of 6A football. Can you go over some of the teams that's in your region so everybody will know?
Yes, sir. We picked up a completely new region. There's not a single team that was in our region last year that is with us again. So in East Alabama, we have Russell County and Valley, and Opelika, and Eufaula. So Eufaula played in the second round last year, and then, of course, Valley was 5A. Russell County is an up-and-coming program with Coach Rose there. I think he was here yesterday or today. So those are our East Alabama schools, and then we got 4 Montgomery schools. Robert E. Lee dropped from 7A to 6A, and then we've got Carver, Lanier, and Park Crossing. So it's a very tough region, a lot of really good football teams, and then our non-region is right now currently Central and Auburn. I got a text yesterday from a school you might have heard of in the Birmingham area, Hoover, wanting to know if we wanted to play week 0, and I had to catch my breath there for a minute looking at possibly Hoover, Central, and Auburn as our non-region, but we don't care. We may do that. You know, if it means playing, then we'll do it because our kids will play whoever, whenever.
Eric, you mentioned quarterback and said that, that could go into the season. But when you look at when you guys are able to put pads on, how important will that time be and kind of deciphering between the guys? And what are going to be some of the things that you guys as a coaching staff will be looking at between those quarterbacks during that time? Yeah, the biggest thing is leadership and, who can lead the team. And then the second thing is toughness. You've got to have a tough quarterback. And really all 3 of them can do it. It's just a matter of what guy is going to step up. It's kind of like our running back position was last year. Early in the year we were playing 5 running backs, 6 sometimes. And then we kind of finally settled in on 2 there at the end of the year. It may be that way without us having a spring where we could put them in pads and put them in a physical situation where it may take us a little while. And I'll be honest, I don't care if we play all 3 and all 3 can get the job done. If we're winning games with 3, we'll win the games with 3. If we win them with 2 or 1, it doesn't matter. So we're going to put the guy in that can get the job done.
This question is for Will. I know that the quarterback's kind of a question mark right now, but that senior group at wide receiver, what do you think you guys can do to help that new guy, whoever will be, take that spot? Yeah, the biggest thing is our run game is going to really help the quarterback position. Our offensive line and our run game is kind of, the seniors this year that can really pick that up. Last year it was our receiving group until we could figure out what we want to do with our running backs. It's kind of the opposite this year. But just making sure, Will being a senior leader on offense, making sure when the guy's in the game that we show confidence to whoever's in there that they're going to get the job done. And like I said, I don't care. My son's he's one of the 4, so I don't care who it is. If it's him, great. If it's one of the others, we don't care. We're going to play the best kid at that time.
I have a question for Chris. With your offensive lineman, James Dawson, leaving, he was one of your strong leaders up there, and you're going to have a new quarterback, not sure who it will be yet. How important is it for you to lead this group of core offensive linemen?
Oh, it's definitely a big responsibility, but I feel like I'm ready to take on, especially having a guy like James. He's pretty much my mentor all last year and the year before that. It's big shoes to fill, but I believe I can do it.
And how much chemistry would you say your offensive line has, going into the season?
Oh, we're close. We've been together since we were like 5 or 6. So, we're tight bonded, tight knit. We love each other. We play together. We know each other. Get the job done.
Question for Will, sort of what they were talking about a minute ago with, not knowing who the quarterback is. How much do you kind of take it upon yourself and the other receivers to try to kind of pick up that slack for whoever winds up playing quarterback?
Well, yeah, last year we had Omar and Marion. Obviously, they had a lot of production. And this year we got a few younger guys, Grady, Bynum, Javante, a few, they're like sophomore, and they came from the basketball team. And so it's just really important to, keep them grounded because it's hard to learn a new offense when you've played basketball your whole life and you come into football. So, yeah, I just got to stay on them, help them learn the playbook, and, help them get the chemistry right with the new QBs. So,
Will, what did you learn from Omar and those guys, those leaders at wide receiver last year? I know you played a lot, but those guys were big.
Yes, sir. Well, Omar and Marion, they knew not to complain when they didn't get the ball. They were good blockers, and they helped me realize that even if you're not getting the ball, you just got to keep going, got to keep blocking because a lot of our offense is the run game, and wide receivers got to do a lot of blocking. So.
This question is for Coach Speakman. You guys were heartbreakingly close to the state championship game last year. Has there been any lessons learned from that game that you're implementing for this season?
Probably the biggest lesson is tackle number 1 from Spanish Fort. Yeah, that was tough last year, going down there and playing against them. You know, I think that the lesson learned was, you know, we played hard, and that's what we always preach to our kids is play hard on every snap. And we did that last year. You know, the kid made 3 great plays, and they beat us, I can't remember the score, 21 or 27-21 maybe, something in that ballpark. But the biggest lesson is just keep playing hard. You know, come back this year. We've been with them a lot in June, but it's not been your normal June and July where we have big team meetings. I mean, we were together for the first time as a whole team today. We brought in our 10 o'clock group with us. We've been going basically 48 kids at a time. So it's kind of hard to get that one big team speech that we never had in March, April, May, and June, and now July. So, you know, really that hasn't been brought up yet. I'm sure as we get into the season, those kind of things will be brought up.
A question for each of the players, so y'all can just take turns. I mean, we were talking about y'all's schedule, and it's already tough. And, you know, Coach is talking about maybe even adding someone like Hoover, so it could get even tougher. But what is the challenge like for you guys? How do you sort of embrace that, playing the best of the best each and every week?
Each year we try to go over just playing our game and just with defense, we just try to be the defense that we are. We don't try to do anything special or anything that's not us. With offense, they're the same way. So we just play our football and we play our game, and we don't let anyone else interfere with what we have going on.
I think playing the tough opponents early in the year is really helpful because when you get to the playoffs, you know, if you played Hoover and Central early, you've already played the best of the best, and so when you get to the playoffs, it's, you know, you know what you're up against, and you know, so I think it pays off later in the year. I think it paid off last year because, you know, we faced Auburn, Central, and Callaway early, and so, you know, we knew we were going up against when we got to the playoffs.
For Coach Speakman, with all these positions still open or undetermined, I'm sure that also means a lot of kids are trying to rise up and take those spots. What's the competition been like for amongst the team to become the number 1 spot? Yeah,
it's been really good at every position, you know, coming back this year. And we always preach that, you know, your job's never safe. If you don't do your job, your replacement will. So, you know, we always try to get kids playing, and we've tried, you know, I said it earlier, we try to play a lot of kids too. So that keeps them involved in practice and motivated coming every day. But, you know, in those key positions, it's been really good. It's kind of funny. They start showing up every day at practice when they find out the job's on the line. So you don't have many absentees on those positions. And I'll say this, our attendance this summer has been great with these kids. On a time that they could have taken an excuse and used that towards, I can't come today. You know, obviously we've told them if you're sick, stay home. But you know, it's been probably 90% to 92% attendance every day, and that's talking 110 kids throughout the day.
Question for Kevin. What's the challenge like? What does it take to play defense in Class 6A and, like we said, against the best of the best every week?
For us, you know, what's it like? We're just going to put the best 11 guys on the field at all times. So if you can show up, work hard, and, you know, do what you're supposed to do, you'll play. And our coaches do a great job of putting us in the best position possible for what we face. And, you know, they put a lot of time in with us away from their families to make sure that we can do the right things on Friday night. And so you're going to be put in the best position possible to make the play or do what you need to do. So just show up, work hard, and do your job.
I got one for Ja'Kai. Ja'Kai, Opelika has been known for defense, especially on the defensive line. Talk about the unit you've got coming back and how confident you guys are this season.
My defensive line, we've been playing together since 7th grade. We got one added coming in 9th grade year, was Trayvon Moore. He was originally a linebacker through middle school. But our chemistry is great. Like, we probably hung around each other since rec league ball. Like, we've all played the defensive side of the ball, even in rec league. So it's just knowing the defense and knowing how to maneuver through defense is just what makes us so close. Like, when one makes a play, it feel like we all made the play. You know, we're all happy for each other. It's never it's never like an off, like I didn't get to play or, anything like that. If one gets the call, then everybody gets the call, and we just relay it to each other, and we're just all tight bonded with the defensive line.
I'm going to ask a question as a fan, but if Coach can address it or the players, feel free. This is going to be a strange year, and you don't know who's going to be in the stands. And I know that when I played in high school, the fans had a lot to do with jacking you up. You make a good play and the fans in the stands are going crazy and everybody on the sidelines going crazy. How are you going to keep that intensity up as a player? And Coach, how are you going to keep that intensity up if the stands are just parents? And I'm just throwing out worst case scenario here, but let's just go that direction.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that as an administration, who do you let in? And I think our kids would show up if nobody was there. And if you've ever snuck into one of our practices sometimes are a little more heated than some of our games. Our kids get after it, and it doesn't take anybody in the stands. And I think a lot of that is going to come in these schools that have great seniors, great senior leadership that have been there. And this is their last year. This is all they have. Not many of them will get to play college football. So they're right now on a guaranteed 9 games. And I think if we took our seniors and asked all 35 of them, will you play in front of 12 coaches, they would say yes. And I don't think that will be an issue. Now, we would love to have the stadium full. Last year playing Auburn with a full stadium, you're right, it did. But I'll say this as a coach, I kind of like when it's real quiet because I can yell out there and tell them things that I want them to do that sometimes you can't do when the Spirit of the South's behind you playing real loud. So we're hoping to play, whether it's with fans, without fans, half a stadium, whatever it is. Looking forward to you calling touchdown Bulldogs a couple times and the train horn that Mr. Beams bought us last year blowing. It'll be real loud this year if there's no fans in there. But, we just look forward. We just want to play at this point. So